Hello there and welcome. This is Teresa Litchfield. I'm sharing a card created with the new Build-A-Flower Honeysuckle for Altenew's release and blog hop today. Now, it's no secret that I love flowers and nature, but when I saw this honeysuckle, it took me back to my childhood and picking these with my best friend and sucking the nectar out of them. And they were always yellow. So I wanted to create them like the ones I remember and thought it would be fun to add some detail and layered dimension. So let me show you what I did. First off, here's the honeysuckle set with its layering stamps and dies. And the main flower has an outline stamp and 5 detail stamps, so they're really easy to line up. The sets always come with a really great booklet showing ideas, the layering guide, which I feel is invaluable in my opinion, and some coloring ideas as well. I love these booklets. If you're really having a hard time for ideas, just open it up, and I get a lot of coloring and layout ideas from these. I'm starting off with the outline stamp for the main flower and the bud, and because I've never used these before, I'm going to use my conditioning eraser, and you can also use a towel or your hand if you want to, if you don't have this. I'm going to use the mixed media inks from the summer afternoon set, and I wanted to play with these. They really have a really cool opaque look. For the outline, I'm going to start off with the Obsidian black pigment ink though. I'm a double stamper, and most of the time I do that just to get the really dark and precision outline. I'm cutting out the second one just to save time. I'm using the butternut mixed media ink for the first layer on the flower and the bud. And I use my W tool. I just get really good pressure with that. And then for the second layer, I use Warm Sunshine. And then on the third layer, I'm going to use the Caramel Toffee. And there are 3 layers on the bud. There's no more than that. So I'll do that. And then on the 4th layer, I'll use the paper bag. And that will only be used on the main flower, and then after I'm done stamping that detail, I'm going to use the paper bag again on the ends of the stamen, and that again is only on the main flower. I'll leave the flower stamps in my MISTI to dry while I stamp the leaves, and I'll use the upper corner to stamp the outline, and I'm going to use that so I can flip it around. I've got a big enough piece of cardstock that I can do that, make multiple leaves. I'll use the frayed leaf, forest glades, and evergreen to stamp the leaves. So again, I'm going to use the Obsidian black pigment ink to stamp the outline first, and do that a couple times. Again, I'm just showing the one time here. And then I'll take that cardstock and flip it around like I said. And I use that sticky mat. That's super handy to have. So I don't have to like temporarily adhese it down. And then flip it around and do it again. Now I can start my colors. So here's the frayed leaf. And if you make sure and really have it in that corner, they line up every single time. I forgot to mention that I'm stamping the leaves on the bud at the same time as the leaves on the top of the MISTI. But here's a close-up look at that, and you can see they're really lined up. I'll use forest glades for the second detail on the leaves and the bud leaves. And I'll stamp that. And then again, I'll flip it around so I can do the ones on the other side there. It just saves us so much time to be able to do this. For the third layer, I'll use evergreen and do the same thing. I'll stamp it and then flip it around and do the same thing on the other side. You can let the ink dry on its own, or you can gently set it with the heat tool before you cut them out with the dies, but you do want the ink to dry first so you don't smear your beautiful stamping. I'm using the Dainty Swiss dot stamp for the background, and I usually place that in the center of my MISTI because this is a really big stamp, and I always stamp it twice. I'm using the Buttercream crisp dye ink to do that with, and my tool really helps to get good pressure and a good stamping out of that. For a layered frame on top of the dots, I'll use the leaf frame covered die, and I'll cut it from 2 different greens. I'm just laying the flowers on the top of the background and the frame and placing a piece of press and seal over it so I can save the arrangement. And then I can take all the frames off and I can glue those together. So I've got the two frames in the two colors, and I'm going to glue the lighter green on top of the darker green so it looks kind of like a shadow. At first I thought I would turn the top frame so the pattern was different, and then it just seemed too busy, so I went back to my original plan and just offset them. So now that I've got the glue together, I've got a little bit of the dark green on the side, so I pull out my trimmer and just trim off that little bit of dark green on the edge. I've got all my layers just placed in the MISTI. They're not glued down yet, and I'm just getting my placement for the sentiment. So here's the sentiment, "You're the sweetest" from the set, and I'm just going to put that right underneath the press and seal, and I can remove the flower now. So I'm just lining that up, and I often use my grids on my MISTI to make sure everything is straight and centered, and then I can remove everything and stamp that. And I'm going to use the Obsidian ink again to do that with. Now that I have that stamped, I can glue my frame onto the front. And because I cut that little bit of green off, it's a perfect A2 size card. And I can start gluing all my other things on the front. So I just glue down the, I actually just adding glue to the back of the leaves. And I'm going to pop that flower off, and I'm going to put some foam tape on that. So you'll see, this just really helps a lot so you can get the arrangement the way you want. But I'll take the press and seal off after those are all down. And then I can pop that flower off like I said. And I want that to stand up a bit. I really want that to be my focal point. So I use some instant dimension foam tape, and I'm going to pop that up on top of the leaves. Little things like this can really turn your ordinary card into something super special, and it really catches your eye. To add a little more detail to the flowers, I'm going to use the metallic watercolor set in the Light, the Citrine, and the Sterling Silver, and I'll add those to a bit of in a bit of a stippling or dotting motion called pointillism. I'll add the Citrine and the Sterling Silver to the flowers and the Light to the darkest part of the leaves, and that will just give them a little bit of shimmer. I had some glitter glue in my stash that was the same color as the Citrine, so I added that to the center, which gave it a really glittery texture. I'm definitely an advocate of using what you have on hand. Here's a look at the finished card, and I'm really happy how it turned out. It brought back a lot of good memories creating the Honeysuckle, and I really liked working with mixed media inks and their versatility. They ink blend great also. All the products I've used are in the description below, and you can also check out my blog for more blog hop information. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I'm always so appreciative of that. I have a couple of other videos here at the end that you might enjoy also. I hope you have a really great day doing something you love.